Okay. Thank you, Kofi.
Oh man, listen, it breaks my heart. It really breaks my heart. Annie, listen to me.
I hear.
You know, anytime I hear people talk about non-governmental organizations, it's only in Africa that they have NGOs. Do you realize that? Because
That's right.
you realize it's non-governmental because the governmental doesn't work. Do you realize that? Everything she said, oh, we need to train our nurses and bring about get the government, get the leadership to work. Because if the leadership worked and we had the facilities to train the nurses, actually pay the nurses, because in Ghana, they go 3 months, 4 months. Sometimes the nurses, they injecting somebody and they're looking somewhere. They injecting somebody. You know why? Because they have lost the flavor of serving.
Correct.
They don't pay them. You have Mahama now talking about paying the nurses who he didn't pay when it was in his administration for months. He didn't pay them. Teachers don't get paid. Nurses don't get paid. Why? So what I'm saying is we don't need to create, listen, Africa, listen to me. No more NGOs. We need to stop that nonsense. It's weakness. It's weakness of thought. We don't need any more NGOs in Africa. We have enough. Listen, I worked on Wall Street. Listen to me. Annie, when you go on Wall Street and you talk about NGO, they laugh. Oh, the African is here again, NGO. They laugh at you. What is NGO? What kind of nonsense is that? Get the governments to work so you would not need an NGO. What? Tell me why you need an NGO. Go to Sweden and see how many NGOs they have. Go to Japan and see if they have any NGOs. Go to Singapore and see if they have NGOs. If it's an NGO, it's for fun. We do NGOs for survival. What kind of nonsense is that? It's weakness. Africa, enough of the NGOs. No more NGOs. If you hear anybody talking NGOs, walk the other way. We are walking to the parliament office of the president, and we need to listen to me. You don't need an NGO. You need this. This is what you need. You need to stamp and vote and get this useless governments out of the way so you can have a functioning government that comes in and puts in systems so you wouldn't have a need for an NGO. Tell me if I'm crazy. Annie.
You are not. Absolutely not. You know me. I'm your person. We are one-on-one on this.
No. Don't be my person for now. Just be my enemy for now. I just want you to tell me, Kofi, you are wrong. We don't...
Honestly, jokes apart, these are things that we are saying. Any country that is 60% reliable on NGO is the weakest kind of economy. And now, if you look at, I'm talking about 60%, but if you look at Africa, I mean, everything NGO.
Everybody wakes up NGO.
This is a mindset.
I hear NGO, I want to puke. I don't want to hear NGO. Are you serious? Let's start something to get these weak of governments out so we can install agencies that work. So we wouldn't have to worry about NGOs begging everywhere. NGO is having a little calabash going around. Oh, I'm African, Africans are really poor. And, the sickening thing is we actually create a narrative for the NGO. Africans don't have any. Africans are really hungry. So go to the NGO websites and read their objectives and their vision. It's sickening. It's like accepting that you are a weaker, inferior race. God help me. God forgot about us.
You are a beggar.
Come on, get that nonsense out. We don't need NGOs. Come on. Oh my God. Annie, what's the next question?
Yeah. Go ahead.
All right. So the first question is this. Listen, we have institutionalized substandardness. Okay, so it means everything that we do, and it comes from the leaders. Bad leadership, poor leadership is what's caused this thing. We don't do things properly. We have baked things, we do things haphazardly, and our whole culture and acceptance have been to accept things because, you know what, God will take care of us. You know, God, nonsense. God doesn't have time for people who don't use your brains. He gave us brains to use. Use it. Don't waste my time. That's what God is telling us. And that's why I'm here to tell you. Okay? Time for change. Substandardness comes from weak thinking. Okay? We have to start doing things well. We have to elevate our game. Now, the reason why you would go to Caucasian and not come to me is because I don't do things properly. Yeah, did you find us build any cars? No, but that's why you go to Germany to get a Mercedes and a BMWs and all the other cars, right? You go to UK and you get the Range Rovers, and right? Well, because they have built the cars. We don't do anything. We just wait till we get the canned tomatoes. You know, canned tomatoes. We eat a lot of canned tomatoes, and then our kids make holes in the canned tomatoes and use them for cars. That's what we do. You see them, Annie. You see the kids around the town. Annie laughing. So this is what we do. We have to elevate our game, and it starts from having the right leadership with a vision, so that we don't have to patronize anybody buying their cars. We don't have leadership academies. We don't have academies around institutions around our countries that is training people, developing people how to perfect an art. Where is the research and development centers around the country? We don't have any. You know what we have? A big parliament. And people sit there, drink, talk nonsense, go home and get paid, come back and do the same thing. And we elect them into power and we think things are going to change. Insanity. Doing same things over and over again and expecting different results. It's not going to happen. This is it, 2020. Get them out of here. Let's come in and change the system for good. Second question. Nepotism comes out of not having systems. You know, just I think last week, our Minister of Finance announced that the public sector had lost 3.1 billion CDs. 3.1 billion CDs, about $700 million from the public sector. You know how that was? It came about, and his excuse that there are no, he says, practices and culture or some nonsense. Guess what? The reason is because there are no systems. Systems are institutional infrastructures that you lay. And then when you lay an institutional infrastructure, you put on top of the institutional infrastructure systems. The systems are three-pronged. You have the objective, the core, then you have the mechanical part of the system, then you have one thing Africans never include in anything they do, discipline. Discipline in English is called accountability. We don't do accountability with anything. So how on earth do you expect somebody to do stuff? You don't go check it. You don't know how it works, but you somehow expect it to meet a standard. It doesn't. And we accept it. And it keeps going. So you need to lay an institutional infrastructure, and then you put the mechanical system on, and then you need to create a system by which the system runs. And that's a distributed ledger technology. You know what a distributed ledger technology is? It's something that is algorithmic, that develops itself, and everywhere it goes, it registers. So I cannot steal money and change the books, because when it registers algorithmically, it registers at multiple places, everything you do, so nobody can steal from the process. That is corruption in itself. That's the biggest thing eating Africa away. And these coolest leaders it's hard for me to say they don't have a clue, because if they wanted to buy something to stop the corruption, they would. But because they enjoy the benefits of the corruption, they don't. Okay, so that's where, when in a place where you don't have nepotism, you know what you have? Culture comes in. Anything they do, you know what they do, Annie? They go and call the chief. You do something and I fire you, they bring me a goat and a chief to beg me and give me a goat. As if I had a goat soup, pepper soup, right? Everything goes away. I know you like pepper soup, but let's keep your focus. This is
Kofi. Let's take this other question, please. Next question, please. Calm down. Hello?
Hello, good evening.
Good evening, sister. Good evening.
Hi, my name is Maria and I'm calling from the United Kingdom.
Okay, Maria.
Yeah, my question is, if like he becomes a president,
when I become a president, not if.
What is he going to do about Africa unity? Because the youth really wants to be united. So like, what is he going to do? Especially like, things like the monetary aspect, like the bringing the money together, youth together, the economy of Africa together. Like, what is he going to do about that? And another thing is, another contribution that I want to make is about, to be honest with you, religion has caused a lot of havoc in Africa. Really, I don't know if he is a Christian or not, but like religion has caused a lot of problems in Africa. This is the problems that we need to tackle. Do you get what I'm trying to say?
Yes.
We as Africans are 100 years behind. Why can't we just go back to our ancestors? For me personally, I believe that our ancestors are angry with us. We need to forget about this white man religion and go back to our African religion. For us to go further, we have to go back to the ancestors. So thank you very much. This is my contribution. Thanks.
Over to you, Kofi. You got the two questions.
Okay. So like I said earlier, okay, for us to have African unity, you got to understand that each government in every country has to be functional. We don't have that. Okay, so you don't want to create a system where the strength of Africa would be at a point where its weakest country would be. So you want to elevate the whole of Africa. And this is why you have to call all the leadership of Africa, you have to call them to a meeting. You have to call them to the test. You have to call them to elevate their game. And but you have to first prove that you are worthy of that call. And that's why we have to do it in Ghana first. See, if you do it in your country, then you can hold everyone accountable that this is what I have done, do it. But till you do it, you don't have any rights to talk to somebody and say, let's come together and do it. Because the most difficult thing to sell somebody who has not seen success is success.
Correct.
You see, it's a lot easier when they have tasted success and they know success. Then when you sell them on success, they know what to expect. So they know why it's worthy for them to fight. Mm-hmm. But so what we need to do is to create a working Ghana first. Now, I'm not saying everybody waits for Ghana. We could do that concurrently. But what I'm saying is because I only have the jurisdiction of Ghana to change, we're going to come in with our leadership team to change things in Ghana. And then we're going to call the African leaders and say, look at what we've been able to do. There's no excuse not to do yours as we have done ours. And then by everybody doing, we will elevate the whole of Africa. It's as simple as that. The lady was asking about what we're going to do about religion. And, religion has caused a lot of fights. And listen, America is more sectarian than any other country that I know. You see fights? You don't see fights. You know why you don't see fights? There are systems. When there are systems and people are not living in poverty, religion has its place and it takes its place, and it's not in chaos or in conflict with anything else. If you doubt me, take a look at all the other nations where they live well. They don't have a problem with religion, whatever religion. Some don't even have religion. So it's not religion we are pointing to, is the problem of not having the visionary leaders to build a system where people are living above poverty lines. You see, when people are hungry, even when you tell them a joke, they're not laughing. When people are full and happy, you could say the most idiotic thing and they love you for it because they're happy. That's how life works. That's
Or 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 it could also be that because of the hopelessness of people,
oh boy, let me tell you.
are coming up so much like mushrooms because people don't just have a way out. They just
Listen.
have to bury and believe in nothing.
Let me tell you, Ani, this is so sad. And in Ghana, the reason why suicides have gone up is because these children who are on drugs and they are killing themselves is because there's no hope. Hopelessness is killing these kids, and it's a sad place to be. When you have a country like Ghana where it has all the resources in the world and then some, you would have children die of hopelessness. And we have time bombs where kids are giving birth to children. We have, the population under 2 is the same population over 65. Population under 2. We are heading